Get off of me, you clumsy idiot. My scalp was on fire. Her perfect manicured nails dug into my hair, yanking me across the marble floor like I was nothing more than garbage. I screamed. God, I let out a deafening scream, but she didn't pause. She just kept pulling, her voice laced with venom as she hissed, I was worthless trash. What she didn't realize? My billionaire husband was watching every single second on the security cameras. And you won't believe what happened next. She lost everything. Hey everyone, I'm Maria. Before you click away, I promise you this isn't just another boring story about a rich woman being cruel to someone she thought was below her. This is about the exact moment I saw the truth, who was loyal, who wasn't, and how karma can destroy someone's entire life in less than an hour. If you've ever felt judged, humiliated, or insignificant because of your job or how you look, you need to hear this. Stick around because the revenge, it was complete and powerful. That woman is still suffering the consequences of what she did to me that day. And if you think people should treat everyone with respect no matter what they do for a living, hit that like button and subscribe because I share real stories that will absolutely make you rethink how you treat others. Let me take you back to the start. My name is Maria, and yes, I'm married to a billionaire, but that's the least important thing about me. What truly matters is that I own a chain of luxury, 5-star restaurants across the city, places where the elite come to be seen and spend more on one dinner than most people earn in a month. For years, I ran these places from an office. I checked budgets, signed off on menus, and hired managers. I stayed far away from the daily operations. But then, things took a turn. I started getting complaints. They weren't about the food or the decor. Those were flawless. The complaints were about how my staff treated certain diners and, even worse, how certain diners were treating my staff. One letter especially haunted me. It was from a young waitress who had quit. She described being yelled at, humiliated, and even physically pushed by a rich customer who swore she'd brought the wrong wine. When she reported it, the manager told her to just toughen up because the customer is always right, especially when they're spending thousands. I couldn't sleep that night. I couldn't stop thinking about that girl and all the servers who faked a smile through abuse just to keep their jobs. A terrible realization hit me. I had created these beautiful, perfect spaces, but I had no idea what truly happened inside them when my back was turned. That's when I decided to do something completely outrageous. I was going to work undercover as a waitress in my own restaurant. My husband thought I had lost my mind. Maria, he said, holding my hands across our dinner table. You don't have to do this. Just install cameras, hire mystery shoppers, do anything else. But I shook my head. I had to live it myself. I needed to understand what my employees felt. He finally gave in, but with one condition. He made me promise that he could monitor me using the CCTV system we would install. Extra, hidden cameras with angles that would catch every single thing. If anything goes wrong, he warned me, his voice serious, I need to know immediately. I agreed. I thought, how risky could it be? I was just going to wait tables. I couldn't have been more wrong. The first day I walked into my own restaurant wearing a simple server uniform, I felt alien. My hair was tied back in a basic ponytail, minimal makeup, wearing the same white shirt and burgundy vest as everyone else. I looked at myself in the staff bathroom mirror before my shift. I looked common, easy to forget, invisible, and that's exactly what I became. The manager who had worked for me for 3 years walked right past me during the morning meeting. He didn't even notice me. The other servers were kind enough, but they saw me as just another new girl who probably wouldn't last the week. In their world, I was a nobody. The first couple of weeks were a shock. I learned to balance 5 plates at once, how to smile when someone snapped their fingers at me, and how to apologize for mistakes that weren't mine. But I also discovered something wonderful. The strong bonds between the staff, how they protected each other, offered encouragement, and pooled their tips on bad nights. There was one young woman, Sophia. She was only 19, juggling 2 jobs to pay for college. She was sweet, constantly nervous, and tried desperately to do everything perfectly. She reminded me so much of myself at that age. Before the wealth, before the power, just a girl trying to make a living. I had been working undercover for 2 weeks when it finally happened. The night that changed everything. It was a busy Saturday evening. The restaurant was filled with the usual crowd: business people, rich couples, people wearing jewelry worth a fortune. I was taking an order at table 7 when I heard her shrill voice. "Excuse me! Excuse me! Is anyone going to seat me, or do I have to do everything myself?" I turned and saw her. Tall, blonde hair in perfect waves, wearing a designer deep burgundy dress that likely cost a fortune. Diamonds glittered on her neck and wrists. But it wasn't her wealth that got my attention. I saw plenty of that. It was the look on her face, pure entitlement mixed with total contempt for everyone around her. The hostess flew over, apologizing repeatedly, and seated the woman at one of the best window tables. I watched her from across the room as she instantly started complaining. The seat was uncomfortable. The lights were too bright. The table was unsteady. Nothing was acceptable. I felt my jaw clench. I'd witnessed this behavior before, but seeing it from this side was a completely different experience. Sophia was assigned to her table. My heart sank for poor Sophia. I watched the girl's face fall when the manager told her. She knew this woman. Apparently, she was a regular who went through servers like Kleenex, causing at least one person to be fired on every visit. I watched as Sophia approached the table, her notepad visibly shaking. The blonde woman didn't even bother to look up. She just started listing demands: a specific brand of sparkling water but not too cold, organic lemon slices only, a wine we didn't stock. When Sophia politely explained we didn't carry it, the woman's eyes went icy cold. "What kind of place is this?" she spat. "Do you have any idea who I am?" Sophia mumbled an apology and tried to suggest alternatives. The woman simply waved her hand to dismiss Sophia. "Just bring me whatever you people consider adequate. Clearly, excellence is far too much to expect in this establishment." I felt a surge of rage deep in my chest. This was my restaurant, and these were my employees. But I couldn't blow my cover yet. I desperately needed to witness how horrific this encounter was going to become. Sophia brought the bottle of wine. I could see her hands trembling from where I stood. She was so terrified, so determined to do this one simple thing correctly. She approached the table carefully, holding the bottle just as she'd been trained. That's when it happened. Another server accidentally bumped Sophia. It was only a tiny nudge. The place was packed, but it was enough. The wine bottle tilted, and a few drops, maybe a tablespoon, splashed onto the edge of the blonde woman's designer dress. The whole restaurant seemed to suddenly fall silent. Or maybe it was just my own perception, but I heard the woman scream with terrifying clarity, "You stupid, clumsy idiot!" She shot up from her chair, knocking it over backward. Sophia scrambled back, the bottle almost slipping from her grasp. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. Please, I'm so very sorry." The woman's voice was sharp enough to cut glass. "Do you have any idea how much this dress costs? Do you? This is imported, custom-made, worth more than you'll earn in your entire pathetic life." I started moving toward them. I couldn't stop myself. "Ma'am, please, I'll pay for the cleaning." "I will—" Sophia's voice cracked. She was starting to cry. "Pay for it?" The woman let out a laugh that was cruel and piercing. "You can't even afford to look at this dress. You are nothing. You are garbage in a uniform. And you should be on your knees thanking God that places like this even give trash like you jobs." That's when I finally reached the table. "Excuse me, ma'am," I said, keeping my voice level but firm. It was clearly an accident. A small spot that a dry cleaner will easily— The woman's eyes snapped to mine. "And who are you?" "Another one of these useless waitresses? Did I ask for your worthless opinion?" "I'm just saying there is no need to talk to her like that." She apologized. "Mistakes happen." The woman's face turned completely red. "These things happen? These things happen." She took a step toward me, and I could smell her expensive perfume mixed with raw fury. "Let me tell you what is going to happen. This girl is getting fired tonight, and now for your sheer insolence, so are you." She whirled toward the manager who had rushed over. "I want both of them terminated immediately, or I'll make sure every person I know hears about the incompetent staff at this terrible establishment." The manager looked utterly panicked. "Ma'am, perhaps we can—" "I want them fired. I should have exposed her then." I should have told her exactly who I was, but a dark part of me wanted to see how far she was truly willing to go. How utterly savage someone could be when they thought they held all the power. "Ma'am," I said quietly, "we are just doing our jobs. There's no reason for anyone to lose their livelihood over a drop of wine." Her eyes narrowed to slits. You dare talk back to me? You, a server, a nobody, dare to speak to me like you're my equal? I am speaking to you simply as one human being to another. That's when her hand moved in a flash. The sound of the slap echoed across the restaurant. My head snapped sideways, my cheek erupting in sharp pain. I heard Sophia gasp and the murmuring of the other diners. My eyes instantly welled up from the shock and the fiery sting. That's for forgetting your place? The woman sneered. I turned back to face her slowly, my hand instinctively going to my throbbing cheek. You just assaulted me. Assault? She let out a scornful laugh. That was discipline. That's what happens when servants get uppity. I should have fled, called the police, called security, called my husband. But I was paralyzed, utterly stunned that a person would actually do this in public. And then, you won't believe it, it got worse. She suddenly grabbed my hair, twisting her fingers into my ponytail, and yanked hard. I cried out in pain as she pulled me down. You need to learn respect. She hissed right into my ear. Then she began to drag me, I screamed. God, I let out the loudest scream. The pain was unbearable. It felt like my entire scalp was being ripped away. She was pulling me violently across the cold marble floor, my knees scraping, my hands clawing at her fingers to make her let go. Stop! Please stop! I was crying, begging, the pain so intense I couldn't think clearly. This is what you deserve, she was shouting. This is what happens to trash who doesn't know their place. She dragged me maybe 10 feet, though it felt like an eternity. Other customers were standing, some staring in horror, some filming on their phones. The entire staff was frozen in shock. And this woman, this vicious, horrible creature, just kept pulling, kept dragging, kept screaming about how worthless and beneath her I was. I felt hair tearing out of my scalp. I felt warm blood starting to trickle down my neck. My uniform was ripped at the shoulder from the relentless dragging. I was sobbing now from the pain, the humiliation, and the sheer, brutal cruelty of her actions. She finally released me, and I collapsed onto the floor, my hands immediately going to my head. I could feel the sensitive, raw spots where hair had been ripped out. I felt myself shaking uncontrollably. The woman stood over me, breathing heavily, her face flushed with exertion and wicked rage. Let that be a lesson, she spat. Know your place, or this is what happens. I looked up at her through my tears, and I saw it clearly. A disturbing sense of satisfaction in her eyes. She actually enjoyed this. She loved hurting me, loved the feeling of power, loved reducing another human being to a crying mess on the floor. That's when I heard the front door slam open. Take your hands off my wife. The voice boomed through the restaurant like a crack of thunder. I knew that voice. I would recognize it anywhere. My husband came striding across the restaurant floor, his face a chilling mask of pure, untamed fury. Behind him poured a wave of security guards, the restaurant manager, and half the kitchen staff. The blonde woman stumbled back, completely bewildered. You're what? My husband reached me instantly, dropping straight to his knees beside me. His touch was incredibly gentle as he helped me sit up, his eyes quickly scanning my face, my ripped uniform, and my bleeding scalp. I saw his jaw lock tight. The absolute fury was unmistakable, blazing behind his eyes. Are you okay? He asked me softly, his voice dangerously low. Maria, are you okay? I think so, I whispered back. He carefully helped me stand, keeping one protective arm tightly around me. Then he turned to face the blonde woman, and his expression was so cold it could have instantly frozen fire. Do you know what you just did? His voice was now quiet, yet somehow far more terrifying than when he'd first shouted. The woman was glancing nervously between us, the devastating realization just beginning to sink in. She's just a waitress. She was rude. My husband brutally cut her off. She is Maria. The Maria who owns this restaurant, who owns this entire chain, and she is my wife. All the color instantly drained from the woman's face. That's not possible! She's wearing a uniform. She was serving tables. The restaurant manager quickly stepped forward. Mrs. Maria has been working undercover for the past 2 weeks, and you just physically assaulted the owner of this establishment. I watched this woman's entire world shatter right in front of me. Her mouth gaped open and closed. Her hands began shaking uncontrollably. I thought. She can't be, but I am, I stated, my voice hoarse from the screaming. And you just showed me exactly who you are. You showed everyone in this room who you are. She tried to approach, stretching her hands out in a pleading gesture. Mrs. Maria, please. I didn't know. I would never have what? My husband's voice cracked like a whip. Would never have assaulted someone if you knew they had money and power. But doing it to a waitress was perfectly fine. No, I just meant, I know exactly what you meant. He cut her off again. He pulled out his phone. Security, hold her. She is not going anywhere. The woman's eyes went wide with panic as 2 security guards moved to flank her. Wait, you can't! You can't do this! I can do whatever I want, he said. And right now, I'm calling the police. He started dialing, his eyes locked on the woman's terrified face. Yes, I need to report a physical assault. An assault captured on multiple security cameras. The perpetrator is being detained at my location. The woman began to genuinely sob then. Please, please, I'm sorry. I'll pay for everything. Please don't do this. My husband ignored her. He made another call. Jonathan? Yes, it's me. I need you to cancel every contract with the Patterson family. Every single one. I don't care if it costs us millions. I want nothing to do with them. He paused, listening. Why? Because his wife just assaulted Maria, dragged her across my restaurant floor by her hair. I watched the woman's face turn from bright red to ashen white. Patterson? I asked quietly. Her husband, my husband confirmed. My business partner. Or I should say, my former business partner. The woman was in full hysterics now. No, please, you can't do this. My husband's business, our life. You should have thought about that before you put your hands on my wife. He made another quick call to his lawyer, then another to a judge he knew, then another to someone in the media. With every call, I watched this woman's entire privileged existence disintegrating piece by piece. The police arrived in a matter of minutes. As they placed her in handcuffs, she was weeping, begging, her expensive makeup streaming down her face. Please, I'm sorry. Please, I have children. Please. You should have thought about your children before you decided to torture someone you thought couldn't fight back, I said quietly. As they led her away, my husband held me tightly. I was still shaking, still trying to process the unbelievable event. I watched everything, he whispered into my hair. Every second on the cameras. I was running down here the moment she grabbed you. I'm so sorry I didn't get here sooner. You got here exactly when you needed to, I told him. The next few weeks were a chaotic rush. The blonde woman, Mrs. Patterson, was formally charged with assault and battery. The video from our hidden cameras, plus the cell phone footage from other diners, instantly went viral. Millions of views, millions of people watching her drag me across that floor, listening to her vicious words. Her reputation was utterly destroyed overnight. Every exclusive club she belonged to revoked her membership. Every charity board demanded her immediate resignation. Her friends abandoned her. The social circles she had ruled for years wanted nothing to do with her. Her husband divorced her within a month. He claimed he had been searching for an exit for years and that her public cruelty had finally given him the justification he needed. He cut her off financially and fought her relentlessly for every asset in the divorce. The latest news I heard was that she was living in a small apartment across town, working a completely regular job, experiencing for the very first time what it felt like to be treated as less than. Karma didn't just catch up with her, it utterly demolished her. But that is not the end of this story. Sophia, the young waitress she had terrorized, got a major promotion. I made her a supervisor, putting her in charge of training all the new staff. The first and most important thing I had her teach? That every single person who walks through our doors deserves respect. Original word count, 337 rewritten script. Chunk, whether they're a billionaire or a busboy, they are fundamentally human beings first. I stopped working undercover, but I didn't simply return to my office. I now spend time on the restaurant floors. I talk with the staff. I listen to their concerns. I watch how customers interact with them. And if anyone crosses the line the way Mrs. Patterson did, they are banned for life. My husband had the security camera footage from that incredible night framed in his office. Not the actual assault, of course. He would never display my pain like that. Instead, it's the precise moment he burst through those doors, the second he called me his wife, and the instant that woman's face went utterly white with shock. He says that image reminds him why we work so tirelessly and why we have power, not to abuse it, but to fiercely protect people who don't have it. So here is the stunning takeaway from being dragged across my own restaurant floor. Power isn't about huge bank accounts, titles, or luxury clothes. Real power is in how you treat people when you genuinely believe no one is watching. It's about being willing to stand up for another person, even if it costs you dearly. It's about recognizing that the individual serving your meal, cleaning your space, or parking your car is just as valuable as any famous CEO or celebrity. Mrs. Patterson was convinced she possessed ultimate power because of her wealth and connections. But the moment she used that privilege to hurt another human being, she instantly lost everything. And she lost it all because she ignored one simple, undeniable truth. We are all the same. We all deserve basic dignity. We all deserve respect. If this story resonated with you, if it made you stop and think twice about how you treat others, I need you to do something right now. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel so you never miss these vital stories, and most importantly, comment below and tell me about a time someone judged you unfairly or a time you bravely stood up for someone who desperately needed it. Share this video. Share it with everyone who needs to hear this urgent message, because out there is another Sophia being tormented by another Mrs. Patterson. And perhaps, just perhaps, this story will remind them that karma is swift and brutal, that justice absolutely exists, and that cruelty always, without fail, carries consequences. I'm Maria, and I will never forget the day I realized that the most expensive thing anyone can wear isn't some designer dress. It is their character. And some people, some very rich people, are completely bankrupt in the only currency that truly matters. Remember, you never know who's watching.